Hey all, Zook here, back with the Dark Souls 2 All Boss Damageless route. This one's part 17. We're going to run through some memories and go fight Vendrick in this one. So we're going to drop down this hole after casting Fall Control, and then we're just going to run on through to the first memory, which is back where the Pursuer used to be. You can kill that guy. He shouldn't follow you as you go through here. Just be aware that if you sent the elevator down to grab the iron key earlier, you might have the ironclad waiting up here for you. But otherwise, you can just cast Yearn and distract those soldiers and kind of run through the same way that we did before to get to the pursuer. And we'll kill these guys. One headshot will do the trick, or two normal shots. Be aware that now that you have the Ashen Mist Heart, Forlorn might try to invade you here as we come up to the memory of Oro. And that actually is true for all of the memories. Forlorn is possibly going to invade you. Just homeward out if that happens and retry. But we're going to equip dark arrows because giants are one of the few enemies that are extremely vulnerable to dark. And head on into the memory of, I believe this one's memory of Oro. Yep. So with this we want Yearn equipped and also Fall Control. So we're going to cast Yearn and we cast it early because on the opposite side of the room there's a guy who shoots fire arrows if you haven't cast Yearn early. As we get up to the roof we're going to cast Fall Control because we're going to make a drop, and then cast Yearn off on the side where they aren't accidentally going to throw a fireball at you. And then just drop down to the bridge, drop down here, and there's your first soul of a giant. And then you're heading back to reality. And once you are back in the proper modern day forest of giants, now you're going to drop on down here, kill this ironclad so that you can grab the two amber herbs that he's guarding. And then also kill these two soldiers. And the one that's guarding the way to the memory of Vamar. You don't have to worry about the other soldier that's waking up. He shouldn't be able to come in here. But you can kill this soldier that does wake up. And then again, watch out for Forlorn. Since he hadn't invaded it by this point, I know that he's not coming. And we're just going to hop into the memory of Vamar. And so in this memory, we are going to bait out this first guy who burst through the wall. All these giants can be poisoned with 4 arrows if you want to kill them. And then in the courtyard, there's going to be 2 of these giants. Alrighty, so then once we've got them taken care of, then we're going to head through this doorway. We're going to cast Fall Control before going in. And then we cast Yearn to the left. run on to the right side where a ladder is, climb up the ladder, and if you had Lingering Dragon Crest equipped, then it should last long enough for you to cast Urine one more time, at which point all these enemies on the roof are still distracted, and since we had fall control, we won't take damage by just running through and dropping down. And none of the enemies should follow you in here. I haven't had it happen in the dozen or so times that I've done this. And then we're going to kill this giant. Now, I actually got super unlucky that he dropped onto the stairway. I would say 19 times out of 20. You are not going to have to worry about him dropping up onto the stairway because normally he's going to just kind of get twisted around up in the pillars up there. If he does make it down here all the way, then just do like I did. Kind of be patient. You don't really have to worry about anybody coming in behind you. And then we grab this Soul of a Giant and get out of there. Now, one thing that I will mention is that you can pick off all of the soldiers and the giants that are in that corridor. You can use urine to distract any of them while you are shooting any. The one problem that I've found with that is that it does take a decent amount of time, and I've had the memory fade out on me when I've tried to actually take out all the people in that corridor. But now the last thing that I'm going to do here is come on over through here and use a Pharaoh's Lockstone. And we use that Lockstone because they give us a Titanite slab. It's in the left out of the 2 iron chests. So we grab this free slab and then homeward back. Which means we have exactly 1 giant soul still left to collect, and there would be the soul right after the giant lord. So we're going to come in here. Again, watch out for a Forlorn, since the Forlorn didn't invade as we came through the doorway. I'm just going to cast Shockwave and kill this guy. Use the King's Ring to open up this door. And then I always light this bonfire. Really, it's kind of a safety bonfire. But as we come in here to this third and final memory, the memory of Jag, we go through the fog, wait for the first set of fire bombs to come down here, run up and grab this ascetic, and at this point it should have procced so that the head's going to break and roll down. If you're lucky, then both of the giants get gotten by the head. If you're unlucky, like I am, you will have one of the soldiers that still survived. These soldiers and all of the, well, actually, sorry, just these soldiers do still fall for urine. So if you have a urine cast, I mean, you can cast urine and not worry about it. But as we run up to the Giant Lord, we're going to roll his first slam that he always starts with. And then just kind of pepper him with arrows. you can get 2 shots in safely after a slam. And then safely, you can get 1 shot in after a swipe attack. I get pretty greedy in this fight just because I want it to be over with. But again, you see I do 1 shot after a swipe, roll early, and 2 shots after a slam. And the Giant Lord can be poisoned, or you can just take him down with dark arrows if you want. I mean, it's up to you. But then, now that we have the Giant's kinship, we're going to come over here, grab the Soul of a Giant, and then because in this playthrough I hadn't done the jump skip to get the second DLC key, I still had to grab the 2 Twinkling Titanite that are down here. So I cast Fall Control, and then drop down and grab those 2 Twinkling Titanite. Again, this would be right above the Flame Pit, where, right, remember that Salamander Pit is right down there that we could have potentially dropped to if we wanted to do the jump skip to get the DLC key. But with all of that done, we will head on over to the Undead Crypt, specifically the Undead Ditch Bonfire. And we're now going to kill the king. So we do the approach the exact same way that we did before. Fall control here. And I kill all 3 of these hollows. If I want to run down the center, I'm safe to run down the center now that nobody's ringing that bell. And then for the actual Vendrick fight, it really doesn't matter which type of resin you use. I use the gold pine resin. But because we've collected all 5 souls of a giant, we do normal damage to him. So you'll actually see me get really good RNG in this fight. He doesn't jump backwards at all for me, which is exactly what you want. And it's actually a realistic possibility that you might get the same RNG as me, just because the fight's going to take about half the time that it normally would. If he tries to do any slam attack, assume that he's going to follow it up with a second slam. If he tries to do this swipe attack, then just make sure you don't start too far over towards his sword. You should be constantly strafing right, but if you start too far over to the side, then you'll actually be standing in his sword's hitbox as he starts the swipe. So, had it happen to me too many times. Feel like I need to mention it. But yeah, he's gone. And we homeward back, which will bring us back to the Undead Ditch, where we want to burn another Bonfire Ascetic. And the reason why we burned that ascetic, same way as with the poison pool, this is just going to give us some free titanite chunks. So taking the route like we did before, we now get 3 titanite chunks from this corpse, which is perfect. And now we can head back to Majula. And we're now going to upgrade the old knight's hammer, because that's one that we're going to use for the next video when we take on some of the optional bosses. So you'll see me start out by popping all the souls. So that means the giant lord and all 5 souls of a giant, which gives us a lot of souls. And then I'm going to come over here to reinforce. I should have just stopped at Cloanne real quick and remembered, oh yeah, I need some shards. So just make sure you have 6 regular titanite shards total, 6 large shards, 6 chunks. Right, so okay, I had 7 chunks there. You also want 1 slab, 15 twinkling titanites, 1 raw stone, and 1 faint stone. And if you are planning on infusing the rapier with a bolt stone, you might also want to buy a bolt stone at this point. And you also could have gotten a bolt stone from back in the Shaded Ruins, from that one titanite lizard that we passed over down by Man Scorpion Tark. Then I'm going to come over here, buy some herbs from Carillion. I'm definitely going to buy 1 cast of Great Heavy Soul Arrow and 1 cast of Yearn. I use both of those for Alana, and then you can actually use them in a couple of other cases as well. Especially the Yearn cast is going to be helpful against Executioner Chariot. And then as far as my levels, I'm going to dump a bunch of points into Strength. Hopefully you can get to 40 Strength, 40 Dex, and then you also want to be able to cast Dark Fog. So whether that's from 25 Intelligence or 20 Intelligence and then using the Ring of Intelligence, that's up to you. And then we'll finish up by buying some throwing knives from Malentia, since that's going to be crucial for the Gargoyle strat. So we're going to pick up next time by taking on the Executioner Chariot and the Gargoyles. I will catch you in the next one.